ng dalawang dating opisyal ng gobyerno ng Pilipinas, si Chinese President Xi Jinping, sa International Criminal Court o ICC dahil ito sa malawakang pagtatayo ng China ng mga istruktura sa West Philippine Sea. Kaugnay niyan, makakausap for the record ng aking co-anchor na si Howie Severino ang mga naghain ng communication sa ICC na sina dating Foreign Affairs Secretary Albert del Rosario at dating Ombudsman Conchita Carpio Morales live sa kanilang opisina sa Makati. Howie?
Magandang umaga sa ating mga manonood. And good morning sa inyo, dating Foreign Secretary del Rosario and dating Ombudsman Conchita Morales. First of all, konting backstory lang po dahil ang dami po nagulat dito sa inyong move. How long were you planning for this, sir? I suppose you took the lead on this action. And ano po yung naging trigger to do this kind of late in the game, just before the Philippines withdrew from the International Criminal Court?
Well, there's a very small group of us who get together roughly once a week to discuss what's happening to our country. And one conversation was the poor fishermen who have been deprived of their livelihood, and the fact that they also have a deprivation of their fish resources, which they themselves they consume these fish resources for protein and to dispel their hunger. We felt that something should be done by them, for them rather, and we came up with the idea of why don't we attack the very source who has caused this problem for these poor fishermen. There's about 325,000 fishermen involved, and that of course does not include their families. And if they're in the business of trading, that also doesn't include their market. So that's a lot, and we looked at the various international laws that could be used, and we thought that crimes against humanity, ICC, might be something worth a try, although it hasn't been tried before, as you mentioned.
So balikan po natin mamaya yung crimes against humanity, yung concept na yun, and how it's defined by the ICC. But Justice Morales, people were also surprised. Marami pong nagulat na kasama kayo dito sa kaso na to. No? Paano naman, ano naman yung background nun? Bakit kayo sumali dito?
Well, I'm a Johnny Come Lately. Actually, I had earlier said that after I retired, I thought I would broaden my horizon of knowledge. So, among other topics, I went over the West Philippine Sea issue and all that, although my attention to that was intermittent, okay? So when finally, weeks before, the group decided to file a communication to the ICC, they asked me if I was minded to join the group. As I had earlier said also, I did not readily respond because I thought that I needed some reflection. I had to look at the briefer, I had to look at the background, and when finally I was ready, I communicated to them, I am ready. I believe in the merits of your cause. So, that's it. That's how I got into it.
Okay, you believe in the merits, but you must be aware, medyo may long odds dito, no? Para sa inyo ba, this is kind of a chaotic endeavor, and realistically, ano ba yung pwede talagang ma-accomplish dito sa ginawa nyo?
You're asking me?
Yes, either of you may.
Yes, well, because this is a criminal case which occurred within the territory of the Philippines, we thought that we should demand responsibility for this crime that was committed. And we thought that if we did not take the cudgels for the fishermen and for similarly situated people and for the Filipinos as a whole, who would? So we thought that we would initiate the filing of a communication to the ICC.
Okay, of course, medyo complicated ito because of the players involved. No? Yung Pilipinas, nag-withdraw na po tayo sa International Criminal Court, and China was never a member. So, confident ba kayo na iisipin ng ICC na meron siyang jurisdiction dito sa inyong communication sa kanya? Paano magkakaroon po ng jurisdiction ng ICC sa China, which was never a member?
Well, to begin with, the ICC had jurisdiction over the Philippines prior to withdrawal. Okay, and at the time before the withdrawal, those crimes of China were committed against the Philippines. So that brought the Philippines into the picture, and at the time that China had broken the laws of the Philippines, undertook unlawful activities there. China was also well aware that even then we were members of the ICC, so we could bring a case against China to the ICC, being a member of the ICC ourselves.
Okay, nabanggit niyo, sir, yung kalagayan ng mga fisher folks, no? They're suffering because of the destruction of their coral reefs and fishing grounds, at yun na nga, inookupa ng China yung teritoryo ng Pilipinas. Pero may mga mangingisda ring nagsasabi na nakapanayam mismo ng GMA, no, na since this friendlier relations and less confrontational policy ng ating kasalukuyang administrasyon, China has been more lenient about allowing Filipino fishermen to fish in, well, for example lang, yung Scarborough Shoal, yung Panatag Shoal, ano? So, wouldn't this case be rocking that boat contrary to your aims na gusto niyo makatulong sa fisher folk? Wouldn't this risk an opposite result?
Okay, I think the question of rocking the boat should be brought to the fore. What boat are we rocking? We're rocking our own. We should be rocking our own boat. The way it's being put is that we're rocking China's boat. Our own EEZ is not China's, it's our own exclusive economic zone. That's ours. We have the right to do with that as we please. The fact that China says they're in control of that, that's not acceptable. And the fact that they say that we are being given privileges in our own EEZ, that's also not acceptable. The fact that we're talking about, for example, Scarborough Shoal, and being given traditional fishing rights there. If you look at Scarborough Shoal, you see more Chinese ships there. We can't get into the shoal. So the question is, who controls and who is supposed to have control legally?
Well, speaking of Scarborough Shoal, sir, maybe just clarify some issues about how China ended up occupying and controlling Scarborough Shoal. You were Foreign Secretary at this time. Nagkaroon po ng standoff, and there's been some, I guess, lack of clarity about what exactly happened there, because I recall that you had said that there was an agreement between the Philippines and China brokered by the United States to simultaneously withdraw from Scarborough Shoal, but then when the Philippine boats withdrew, China stayed, and therefore parang naging fait accompli na nasa China na ngayon, nasa control na ng China ngayon yung Scarborough Shoal.
Yes, the way you relate the developments, that's precisely what happened. There was a controversy, and the controversy was looked at as an impasse. There was a suggestion from the U.S. who wanted to act as an honest broker to break that impasse. We came up with a scheme where both parties would withdraw by a certain time. We withdrew, China did not. They were in breach of an agreement.
So they actually agreed to do this,
Yes.
and they broke an agreement.
Yes.
Okay. But did you actually speak to China yourself, and they told you that they would actually withdraw at this time?
We were doing this through the Americans who were acting as the honest brokers. Because at that time there was an Chinese official in Washington, D.C.
A visiting official, and then sinabi doon sa State Department, and then the State Department related to you.
That's correct.
And then you told our government.
That's correct.
So, in other words, parang mukhang nagkaroon ng bad faith. That's what you're suggesting.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, ma'am, itong concept of crimes against humanity, binasa ko po yung Rome Statute. It's defined under the Rome Statute as a crime against humanity is a systematic attack directed at a civilian population. But in the 17-page communications that was submitted to the International Criminal Court, much of the detail was related to environmental destruction. So it wasn't, kasi when you say the systematic attack directed at a civilian population, parang the way I guess most people would understand it is it's a massacre or may binobomba or genocide or parang a direct attack. Pero wouldn't environmental destruction kind of be an indirect attack at least, no? Because China would say, we're not attacking Filipinos, we're just building a facility. Is it a stretch, ma'am, to say that that was a crime against humanity, yung destruction of coral reefs?
They were persecuting the people. It is the mode and the result of the persecution that subsumes the case under case against humanity. So in other words, they did this, they persecuted the people, they deprived the people of their livelihood, they destroyed the places where people engage their livelihood, they deprived them of security and all that. So it is the mode, it is the means by which they committed these cases that ended in case against humanity, because they destroyed in the interim, in the process, they destroyed the maritime areas where people engage their livelihood in. You don't have to parrot the phraseology of the rule that you were citing in order to subsume the case to crime against humanity.
Well, I guess it depends on how the prosecutor kind of
Yes, that's right.
facts,
Precisely.
Yeah.
We were asking the prosecutor to conduct an examination on the basis of what we submitted. An evidence that we submitted, part of which had already been vetted by the arbitral tribunal, which declared the Philippines to be the owner of this Scarborough Shoal, etc., etc.
Okay, some experts we've been talking to, or observers, legal observers, are saying, well, maaring may shaky legal footing ito, but as a political act, it might be more effective than it is as a legal action. Meaning, nagbibigay kayo ng rallying point for those who disagree with what China is doing or with the Philippine policy towards China that allows China to do these things. So, you'd acknowledge na it's also a political act, sir. I mean, this becomes, you really intended this to be a rallying point. Kasi ngayon, may petition na pinipirmahan ng libo-libong Pilipino ngayon in support of what you're doing. And it's kind of helping, kind of coalescing itong mga tao na may ganitong point of view na hindi sila sumasang-ayon sa ginagawa ng China.
Okay, I think people will come to their own judgment as to why we're doing this. And I think when we started assembling the team, one of the criteria that we established was the persons who join must not be politicians. Okay, because we don't want to politicize the effort, the initiative. We wanted to help the fishermen. I think that's one. I think also I'm sorry. Your first question was.
Well, is this more of a political act than it is kind of a court action or a...
It's for example, we wanted to find a way to bring it to the point where it becomes what is that term that we used? Something about well, it's not genocide, it's not aggression, it's not war, it's
crime against humanity?
It's crime against humanity, that's it, yeah. Yeah, it can be crime against humanity. Why? Because you're talking of large numbers, talking of in excess of 325,000 fishermen. You're talking of
large territories.
You're talking of something that's widespread. You're talking of something that is near permanent in terms of the destruction of the environment. You're also talking about
So may I ask, ano yung posibleng maging punishment kung mag-prosper nga itong kasong ito? I mean, under the law, ano yung posibleng mangyari sa Pangulo ng China? And maaari bang madama yung ating Pangulo dito?
I think what we're looking for is exacting justice, okay? And we are the president has stated that we should not be bothered by this, that everyone has a right to do what we've done, okay? So I think having said that, we invite other people to join us so that we can present a unified narrative here in terms of our people suffering, what we need to do to alleviate that suffering, and bring those who are responsible for that suffering to justice. That's essentially, I think, the objectives of our effort.
Thank you, sir. Before you wrap up, I need to ask Justice Morales kind of an unrelated question, but
even if it's unrelated, if it's germane, all right, you may.
Of course, you were part of what you were known for during your time as ombudsman. You filed cases against prominent political personalities and lawmakers. I mean, anong pakiramdam nyo na yun na nga, parang unti-unting medyo collapse itong mga kasong ito, and then some have even been acquitted, and a few are free on bail. I mean, do you feel any kind of regret or
No regrets, but disappointments, yes. Because I am very confident up to now that the evidence we presented merits guilt beyond reasonable doubt against the guilt of the accused. But you know, when the case meets its Waterloo at the demurrer to evidence stage, it's very disappointing because, as I said, we believe that the evidence we filed, amounted to guilt beyond reasonable doubt. So the burden of the evidence should have shifted to the defense, for the defense to prove otherwise, but the case was nipped in the bud, so to speak. So it's very disappointing. No regrets whatsoever.
And now you've moved on to another stage where the battle could even be harder. So you're looking for another challenge.
There's no such thing as hard battle. For as long as you're passionate about it, for as long as you are armed with ammunitions, because to begin with, we would not have filed this communication if we were not certain and we were not confident of the merits of our cause.
On that note, it's a good note to end on. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Former Foreign Secretary Rosario and former Ombudsman Justice Conchita Morales. Thank you very much.
Thank you
ma'am.
too, Howie.
Thank you.